Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Director General National Museum, we welcome you all to this special public lecture titled Indian Heritage and Thai Civilization, Arts and Architecture. This lecture is organized in collaboration with Royal Thai Embassy, India. It is a prelude to our upcoming exhibition, Indian Heritage in Thai Civilization, Arts and Architecture. This will be in December. Moving forward, may I invite the dignitaries of the evening, Her Excellency Madam Ambassador, Royal Thai Embassy, India, the speaker of the evening, Professor Dr. Cheda, and I would request Ms. Abira Bhattacharya, co-curator of the upcoming exhibition, to please escort our guests to the dais. Thank you, dignitaries. Now, I would request my senior, Dr. Nazia Kamal, to welcome our honorable guest with museum souvenirs. Madam Ambassador, Professor Dr. Cheda, Ms. Abira. Thank you, Dr. Nazia. Before we commence the lecture, may I invite Madam Ambassador to deliver her special message. Please, ma'am.
Namaste and good evening. Dr. Abina Bhattacharya, the Assistant Curators of the National Museum of India, Professor Cheda Ting Sanchali, or Professor Ched Ting Sanchali, Excellencies and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. So it's given me the greatest pleasure to be here today in this afternoon or evening to attend these special lectures that will be on the Indian heritage in Thai civilizations that have been jointly organized by the National Museum of India and the Royal Thai Embassy, New Delhi. So this year, this marks a very special occasion for the relations between our two countries, Thailand and India, that we celebrated the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our two countries. And throughout the year, we have organized the series of activities in various areas to promote the long-standing relations between our two countries. And of course, that in Thailand and India, we organize the activity that including the cultural activities, cultural promotions, with the aim to promote the awareness and the close tie that our two countries has established even longer beyond 75 years. Perhaps it's over 2,000 years ago. that we have the chairs, cultural heritage since the old days. So we promote all the activities based on the fact that we have this chair heritage, especially on the textile that we have done in India, and also the painting, as well as the cultural performance, apart from the other activities that we have done. So today, it is my greatest honor to have Professor Cheda, I would call in Thai name that Cheda Ting Sanchali, be with us. He came a long way from Thailand for this special lecture. With his background, I think that perhaps most of you here knows, and I don't have to say much, but I still want to recognize him that he is a renowned scholar in the fields of the art history in Thailand, and he's also currently working at the Department of the Art History and in the faculties of the Archaeology of Silpakorn University, which is the only one perhaps that's so renowned and established in terms of the archaeological studies in Thailand. And he also have the special background related to India, that he received the scholarship from Her Royal Highness Princess Mahachakri Sirinthorn Foundation to study in India at the National Museum Institute long time ago. So that's why his work in the past recent years related to the art, Buddhism in art, Buddhist art, as well as the Buddhist and Indian cultures and heritage in Southeast Asia through the architectures and also the arts that I think that Dr. Abhina will introduce him later. Ladies and gentlemen, today the bilateral relations between Thailand and India has been expanded extensively to other areas. But for me, I still believe that the linkage that we have since the old days through the cultural heritage has been the backbone and the foundations of our strong and very solid relations until today, and it's helped us to expand to other areas. I believe that people-to-people contact will create a better understanding and make it much easier when we want to engage in other areas. For example, the political securities, trade, investment, and tourism. You know that today, Indian is our second largest incoming tourist to Thailand, international tourist to Thailand. The number one, of course, is our neighbor Malaysia. But in terms of the people who travel by air, is India number one actually. So we hope that by the end of this year, since we opened our country since the 1st of January, we will reach perhaps almost 1 million Indian tourists to Thailand. And of course, that a lot of Thai tourists coming to India as well. And I witnessed by my own eye when I had a chance to meet Professor Cheda in October that he came with many Thai tourists who are interested to know about Indian and Thai common architects and arts. So we hope that this will be a good start, that people start to connect with each other, that will lead to a closer tie in other areas, and we want to see it more in terms of other aspects as well. So today's lecture is actually not the only one-time activities, but it's part of the more larger scale activity that we plan to do with the National Museum of India. That will be the exhibitions that we plan to organize, inaugurate on 19 December. We will bring the exhibitions curated by Professor Cheda in 2020 to the National Museum here at perhaps in the part of the Buddhist art. So that will be to show the comprehensive pictures of how Thailand and India share the common art and architecture and leads to our closer ties until today. So I hope that we will see more until we have that exhibitions. And today, I believe that the lecture that we provided by Dr. Cheda will give you in-depth information and inspire you to learn more about our history of relations between our two countries. So I myself once again wish to thank Dr. Chen. I'm so glad that I could finally organize this event because when I came to New Delhi last year in August or in April, so the first thing that I saw at the embassy is the exhibition that curated and crafted by Dr. Chen's research and presentations that stand in our embassy. And I kept, asking and discussing with my team that how can we have Dr. Chen with us to provide our Indian friends to know the in-depth information about our ties between our two peoples. So I'm glad that I have you with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. Before we commence the lecture, may I invite Ms. Abira, co-curator of the exhibition, to give her opening remarks and share a little bit about the upcoming exhibition.
Thank you, Safi. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the National Museum, I would like to again welcome you all, our chief guest, Madam Ambassador of the Royal Thai Embassy, all the dignitaries, our distinguished speaker, the guests, my colleagues and dear friends for joining this event today. Today's public lecture is a prelude to the upcoming exhibition titled Indian Heritage in Thai Civilization, Arts and Architecture, which is jointly organized by the Royal Thai Embassy and the National Museum, Delhi. This exhibition will be inaugurated on 19th of December 2022 and will be open to the public for the following 3 months. This exhibition celebrates the long-standing historical, artistic and cultural relationship shared by India and Thailand since ancient times and marks the celebration of the 75 years of diplomatic relationship between India and Thailand. Emphasizing this theme, National Museum intends to curate the exhibition highlighting the multifaceted aspects of religion, text and artistic interactions displayed in the visual forms of Buddhist and Hindu art and architecture, paintings and musical and theatrical performances. The narrative will speak the different chronological and cultural phases of cross-cultural assimilation which commenced during the reign of great Emperor Ashok and continued to flourish under the Guptas, the Palasenas and the Cholas, and is still witnessed in the current times in form of the popular mass dance performances and puppetry of Ramayana. The theme will be visualized through the objects of the National Museum comprising archaeological and anthropological artifacts, textiles, paintings, manuscripts and decorative pieces, and while the Royal Thai Embassy will contribute by lending object replicas, photographs and videos of their archaeological sites and objects and also some text panels. The exhibition will be classified under various sub-themes to highlight the legacy, confluence and continuity of the cultural linkages shared by India and Thailand, highlighting these cultural traditions. All these subjects will be elaborately discussed by our distinguished speaker in today's lecture. This joint curatorial venture is led by Professor Dr. Cheda Tinshin, Associate Professor, Shilpakon University, Thailand, as a representative of the Royal Thai Embassy, and a team of co-curators from the National Museum side, which includes me, Abira from Anthropology Department, Dr. Ambika, Assistant Curator, PCWA, and Ms. Pooja Kushwaha, Assistant Curator, Archaeology, under the guidance and support of our Madam Lily Pandya, Director General, National Museum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful remarks. I'm certain now that our visitors' curiosity has increased to attend the upcoming exhibition. Moving on, now I would request Ms. Abira to please escort Madam Ambassador to take her seat in the audience. I would like to invite our speaker, Professor Dr. Ched, to deliver his lecture, But before that, I may take the opportunity to briefly share about Dr. Cheda. Professor Cheda is a prominent art historian who specializes in the shared artistic relation between Indian, Southeast Asian, and Thai art. He is a professor in the field of art history in the Department of Art History, Faculty of Archaeology, Shilpkon University in Bangkok, Thailand. This lecture will be an introduction to the legacy, confluence, and continuity of cultural linkages between India and Thailand by highlighting the multifaceted aspect of religion, textual, and artistic interactions displayed in the representation of Buddhism, and Hindu art, architecture, and the popular dance and theatrical performances of Ramayana. And now I would hand over the session to Professor Cheda.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The high the ambassadors of Thailand to India, the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very grateful to be here to speak on Indian heritage in Thai civilization, art and architecture to commemorate Thailand and India's 75 anniversaries of diplomatic relations. Okay, next. Okay, firstly, after the development of navigation techniques, a large number of Indians who looked for the new land, market expansions, fortune seekers, traveled to Southeast Asia. This happened about 1st century BC. It started. Okay. When Indians continuously traveled to Thailand, they brought some of the objects that serve as the evidence of the relations between two countries over time. Okay, next. The small objects were easily brought along the voyagers for the purpose of private worship, like the small Buddha image made in India. This one. This is the small Buddha image. The height is about 10 centimeters, so it's very small and it's portable. So the people carry this small Buddha for the private worship. Hindu images are also possible to be brought during this time for the Brahmins, but we do not discover any. After Indian civilizations reached its zenith, ancient people in Thailand adopt Indian cultural practices, especially the acceptance of Hinduism and Buddhism. The establishment of divine political authorities by proclaiming the existing tribal leader to be a king with divine power could not have succeeded without the Indian Brahmins' act of insistence. So this is the sculpture, Khmer sculpture, depicting the bathing rituals. Okay, it's called in Sanskrit as Raja Pisheka. In order to exalt someone to be the king, Brahmins have to bathe, as you know in Indian traditions. Okay, and we notice that this sculpture, even though we found in Cambodia, it should share some similarities with Thailand. During the ancient time, that the local tribal leaders who want to be the king request Brahmin to arrange the Raja Pisheka, okay, or Piti Barom Raja Visek in Thai. Okay, next. So the acceptance of new religions, Hinduism and Buddhism led Sanskrit and Pali language to be used as the state and religious language. Several inscriptions, this is the examples of the inscriptions that use South Indian Pallava script has been issued. Like this This is a South Indian Pallava script, which is almost the same as Pallava script that we found about 6 to 7 centuries AD in Tamil Nadu. Okay. Hence, history period ends after the arrival of Indians. The coins of Indian fashions has been issued indicating the economic system was established following Indian patterns. So these are the silver coins mentioning the name of the king of Dwaravati. Dwaravati Shavara Punya, the merit making of the king of Dwaravati, has been found at Uthong, which is in central Thailand. So this is one of the most important examples of the coin making, okay, in Indian fashion. Next. So now we come to the transitional period. So we have discovered a large number of ancient imported objects from India to Thailand, which is normally luxury goods. The majority of imported objects in ancient days were luxury goods, which could be afforded by only the upper class, like the kings and the nobles. Some were made in India, others Indian merchants obtained from faraway lands like Egypt or even Europe. The ivory comb, discovered at Nakhon Sawan in central Thailand, is a good example. This is the one that I mentioned. The ivory comb, okay, that's discovered from Nakhon Sawan. It's very tiny comb. It's about 5 centimeters high, very small. So it should be Indian made one. The comb is meant for royals. How we do know? Because it depicts the auspicious symbols meant for the kings. Okay, like Hamsa. Hamsa is actually the swan. Okay, the swan is considered as the auspicious symbol in Indian night. Chatra is the parasol. It's also one of the auspicious symbols. And Puranakata is the vast full of the vegetation. So this is one of the most important pieces that we discovered, and it should be Indian made, ivory comb. Okay, please next. So the ancients imported objects from India to Thailand. I try to show you some more examples. Like this one is the lamp with handle. This one, derived from Kanchanaburi in Western Thailand. It has been identified as Roman lamp produced in Egypt. So what is the relations with Indians? Actually, this is Roman or Egyptian goods. As we saw that this is the lid with the Greek god of fire, Silenus, portrayed here. Okay, the handle is beautifully decorated with a pair of dolphins. It is notable that there are many Roman coins that we discovered in Thailand during this time. Several sites testify the influx of Roman or Indian merchants, who carry these goods from Romans or from Egypt to Thailand. So there are several imported multicolored semi-precious stone like this, like agate, carnelian, and quartz, in the form of beads, necklace, or else, this has been found from central Thailand as well as southern Thailand. So some excavations testify that the workshops may be set up at the coastline in Thailand for producing these beads. And actually some stone is the import stone from India to Thailand. This happened during the 1st century BC to the 2nd or 3rd century AD. It is very old. Okay, and we discovered some workshops. Okay, it's possibly made the manufacturing techniques was also taught by Indians who migrate to Thailand and taught the locals how to make these beads. Okay, and we discovered that this kind of beads all over central and southern Thailand. Okay. Next, so some more examples of the ancient imported objects from India, or else, with Indian merchants, like the carnelian beads in the form of lion that you see on the left-hand side, discovered in Kanchanaburi. Kanchanaburi is the western Thailand, which can be connected with India. It seems to be the part that Indian in ancient time traveled through Kanchanaburi. It is the most famous art object of the transitional period. The lion shaped its muscular body, indicating the high knowledge of art. This seems to be the imported one. It should not be the local, but it seems to be the imported one, either from India or certain regions like the Western regions or even Europe or somewhere else. Okay, and we discovered some more pieces also like the bronze kendi. Kendi is the Indian style pot. Okay, then we discovered in Thailand. This indicates the influx of Indian to Thailand during the transitional period. So these are the testimonials of Indians who come to Thailand during the transitional period between the prehistory and the early history period. Okay, 1st century BC to 3rd or 4th century AD. And we can say that Thailand and India has close connections, has been continuously related from 2000 years. So just 75 years that we are celebrating is just a part of our long relations. Now we are discussing about the earliest Vishnu image in southern Thailand. Can you notice that the transitional period, some object has been born, but it is not the images of Hindu or Buddhist. But now we are going to start with the earliest Vishnu image that we found in southern Thailand. A large number of earliest Vishnu sculpture has been discovered in the southern part of Thailand, which signify the earliest arrival of Vaishnavism in Southeast Asia. I can mention that Thailand has the most ancient Vishnu image outside India. Okay, especially southern Thailand. The most important ones here discovered from Surathani in southern Thailand, the city of Cheda. Okay. And now it has been displayed at National Museum Bangkok since the sculptural styles are traced back to the 1st to the 5th centuries AD. This can be assumed that Indians first stopped at Surathani. Brahmins, Vaishnava Brahmin, traveled to Thailand. They stopped at Surathani and Nakhon Si Thammarat, which are 2 provinces in southern Thailand. And then they travel further to other parts of Thailand. Next, the normal iconography of Vishnu can be identified from the cylindrical crown of Kirita Mukutta in Sanskrit, indicating his royal status. The right hand of the front is in Abhaya Mudra, the gesture providing protection, while his left hand of the front hold corn shells, or in Sanskrit, shankar, in Thai, sang. Okay, shankar at the waist, symbolizing his power of the water sphere. The traces of the right hand at the back hold clubs. Can you see the clubs? Or gada in Sanskrit, symbolizing the protections of the universe. whereas the 11 hold this. This all Sanskrit chakra is has been lost. Okay, symbolizing the sun. Okay, so he has the power over the sun also, the airy sphere. The positions of these attributes are comparable to the ones in Indian Mathura school. Mathura school is one of the most ancient Indian school of art. Okay, and it's dated to first centuries BC, so first centuries AD or something like that. It's also notable that the earliest Vishnu are small in scale, so the sculptors can make small scale of image. Firstly, okay, it's smaller than human size, and the design is quite stiff and rigid. It is not lively. Okay, next. So now we are going to examine some more earliest visual images in Central Thailand. Like the small than life-size visual images has been found in Central Thailand also. Firstly, I talk about the Southern Thailand one. Now I move to the Central Thailand one, and we discover some also, but it's a bit late than the Southern one. Okay. The smallest than life-size visual images has been discovered at Utong in Central Thailand. Utong is the most important city during the Varavati period, one of the most important cities. Okay, and the size is comparable to the earliest image discovered at Mathura in India and Cheda in southern Thailand. I must mention that in India, for the earliest image, it's also smaller in size, smaller than human size. Okay, so the image where the square crown, this is the image where the square crown with the fluted nimbus around his head. Can you see here? Corresponding to the earliest time of Indian crown, something like this. This is an Indian examples of Gupta, early Gupta period that we discovered in Gujarat. It's also smaller in scale, so it can be compared with the earliest Vishnu in time. The way of holding attributes is so natural, unlike the latter ways of attributes holding. The debris with the narrow U-shapes here, can you see here? Strips here of clothes is very common in early Vishnu, Southern Indian Vishnu images. Next. These images are indicative of the flourish of early Vaishnavism in the Varavati, especially at Utong. The Varavati personally inherited Vaishnavism from southern Thailand. So I have already mentioned southern Thailand should be the first point of Indian Brahmins before continuing to central Thailand. And so I try to compare this with these two images. We have some similarities, like it's smaller than human size, the size of the crown, the frontal stiffness is also the same, and the natural ways of weapons holdings are of the same style. Okay, next is, what is the time now? I don't want to speak over the time. Okay. Later, now we comes to the later Vishnu. Firstly, we start from southern Thailand, and the new wave of art has come. That is Pallava art. Pallava art from Tamil Nadu in southern India. Okay, the second phase of Vishnu's sculptures has been found around the Gulf of Thailand. Appears to be similar to the one belonging to Pallava art from 6th to 7th centuries from South India, being simply like this. This is the one that we found in southern Thailand. I compare with the Pallava one that we discovered in Tamil Nadu. This one, and this is southern Thailand one. Okay, it's being simply dressed without ornaments, wearing the oblong headdress, and the long dhoti. Dhoti means the lower garment. It's called dhoti. Okay, dhoti hanging to the ankles. So this is almost the same style. Mhm. The positions of the attributes is changed. This is how we can date the sculpture. We notice from the positions of the attributes. Firstly, can you remember that I spoke about the earlier Vishnu with club on the top? Now it has been changed to the lower one, the lower hand. But the upper hand we have chakra or the disc and shankha or the conch on the top. So this is how we differentiate between the images, the date of the images. Okay, please. So we can. Sorry, back please. Black. Yes, we can notice the similarities between these two. By the way, it can thus be deduced that a large number of early Tamils, both Brahmins and merchants, traveled to southern Thailand. So this is the second phase. Early Tamils comes to southern Thailand and start, setting up South Indian style of Vaishnavism in southern Thailand. And even though it's continued even nowadays, some Vaishnavism and Saivism in South Thailand still exist, and there are many Brahmins also who is the descendant of the old Indian Brahmins. Okay, please next. The second phase of Vishnu. Now we are going to examine the central Thailand. Vishnu of the second phase, dated to 69th centuries, emerged from the striking difference from Utong school. Utong school is the one that I mentioned before. The sculptures has become more majestic with human life size. I emphasize that because the sculpture has been enlarged to human life size, so it is more majestic. Okay, understand? So it becomes human life size dimensions. There are two schools of sculpture: Sri Mahoksa School in Prachinpuri province and Sri Dev School in Phetchabun province. While the former school is quite lean and standing posture, standing in normal way, I can say. That is called Samabhanga in Sanskrit, Samabhanga. The latter, Sri Dev School, is quite masculine. You can notice his body is full with muscles. You can notice the differences. And he stands with bending posture. Can you see? His hips is bending. We call in Sanskrit as Tribhanga. Both schools share the same characters: the plain cylindrical crown, the undecorated upper body, which remind us to both South Indian Pallava art, that of Khmer Piang Korean, and Southern Thailand, which I have already mentioned. Okay. Same also school Vishnus wear the long sarong or dhoti with a strip of cloth. Can you see the strip of cloth? Tied horizontally or diagonally at the waist. His front hand hold club. This is the club. Okay, and a piece of soil resting on his waist for strengthening the sculpture. This means that the sculptor or the image maker was not sure that his image will be broken. So he put his up hand to his waist, to strengthen the sculpture. But Sri Dev Vishnu, another school, however, wear the short sarong. So this is difference in style. Is wear the short ones, and the strip of cloth is omitted. All four hands raised freely, indicating the supreme of the craftsmanship. They are good on sculptures compared to Sri Mahosot school. Please, next. Yes?
I have a small question.
Yes.
Sir, the life size statues that we're actually talking about, were they commissioned for purposes like to be kept in shrines, or maybe they were just commissioned for certain like a powerful
Okay.
privileged people?
Okay, thank you. As per questions, she asked that is there any purpose that making the human size sculpture, something like that, right? That actually, I believe that this sculpture has been enshrined in the sanctum. Okay, so from smaller one, this seems to be like what they call doll-like, yes, sculpture, which is not powerful. In order to increase the power of Vishnu, how can we do that? We have to enlarge the sculpture into human size or over life size. But I'm going to introduce you some over life size also of Ganesha. This will be in the next slides, okay? And you will see some of the power of gods and goddesses. Yes.
So that would kind of more or less mean that there would be some sort of a permanence in that area. So like life-size statues are only possible if they're not necessarily personal but are more community-oriented. Like there are many followers. So do we also see a rise in Vaishnavism in that area, or just it's
Yes. I think Vaishnavism was very popular during the area. So we found a large number of Vishnu images, and even though these images should be placed inside the sanctum sanctorum, so it's not so public. I mean, you can the darshan or you can see from the door only, but it makes some impressions, to the devotees. I mean, even from the door itself. Okay, thank you. Please. This is Krishna Govardhana in the Varavati. Not only the mainstream of Hinduism, the Varavati also enjoys varieties of the minor cults in Hinduism. For instance, the cult of Krishna is an important incarnation of Vishnu, as you know. There are several human life-size images of Krishna raising his left hand to lift Mount Govardhana, one of his miraculous episodes to manifest his power against Indra. This mythology you may know before. Unfortunately, regarding to an example from Cheda, the left hand and the mountains in his left palm are lost. The size of the freestanding sculptures indicate that this would be some temple dedicated specifically to this avatara. Okay, next. The iconography and the style of the image of Cheda images are similar to the ones in Gupta in North India. This is Gupta Krishna at Varanasi, now kept in Bharat Kala Bhavan Museum. This is very similar. And the one of the early Khmer art is also the same, indicate the close relation. The style of the short draperies, and the long hair, both images are quite similar. The hairstyle indicated Krishna was young while performing these miracles. Do you know the story that when Krishna tried to lift the mountain called Govardhana against the wrath of Indra? Yes. Okay. So this is the most popular theme for Krishna. Next, please. Okay. Now we are moved to Shaivat or Shiva cult in Thailand with influence from India. As you know that Lord Shiva is respected as the mighty god of destructions, both the universe and sins. Shiva cult, or also called Shaivism, first in South India and was transmitted to Central and Southern Thailand during the 6th to 10th centuries. They are imported Shiva sculptures as well as the one made by the indigenous people, imitating the original sculptures. We are going to focus firstly on Shiva lingas. Okay, in spite of being presented in many aspects, one of the most popular forms of Lord Shiva is linga. On the other hand, it represents the Lord's supremacy. Many Shiva lingas has been found in southern Thailand. For example, the one having Lord Shiva's face, in Sanskrit we call Mukha linga. Mukha means space. ภาษาไทย Muk means space. Okay. Here is the Mukha linga. Okay. Ago linga, please next. Yes, this is the tiny Shiva linga, which might belong to a hermit private collections. I mean, the hermits, this belong to his private worship. Yes, objects. This has been found in a cave in southern Thailand. Okay, next. And we have the linga-shaped rock called Savayambhu linga as well. Savayambhu linga, Savayambhu means the one who's self-born. Okay, so some Brahmins try to connect the southern Thailand as the Holy Land by making some natural rock to be connected with Shiva lingas. We call Savayambhu lingas. Okay, the human form. Now we move to another part. We finished Shiva linga with its non-human form, Shiva. The other one is the human form Shiva, which is very rare in the world. So it's the same as in Indian art. Most people pay respect to Shiva in linga form instead of human form. But we do discover an image with the clear iconography of Shiva has been found as a part of the bas relief here in Prapodhisat cave in Saraburi province. Here Shiva with his peculiar hairstyle. It actually is called in Sanskrit as Jatabhara. Okay, this peculiar hairstyle. Raising his right hand in Vitaraka Mudra or the teaching gesture. This is teaching gesture. He sits in yoga posture called Ukkutikasana. So there are many terminologies. By the way, this is okay. This is called Ukkutikasana. The hairstyle as well as the whole iconography can be compared with the Shiva in some form which is called Yoga Dakshina Murti, or Shiva who plays the role as the guru of the hermits in South Indian iconography. So it is almost the same. This is from Tamprapodhisat, a Bodhisattva cave in Central Thailand, and this from Ganjipuram. Emphasizing that southern Tamil Brahmins has traveled through Central Thailand. Another in central Thailand that discovers some smaller than human-sized image of Shiva with the bull Nandi at the back. Shiva stands frontally, whereas the bull lively shown his head towards the right side of Shiva. The iconography reminds me to Shiva with bull in Kushana coins. Is Kushana coins that you can see in National Museum of Soil, the first floor, the coins exhibitions, And this image, you can see the similarities. In my opinion, is datable to the very early period of Hindu art in Central Thailand. So Thailand seems to have some earliest Hindu images, not only in Thailand, but the whole Southeast Asia. Okay. Next, please. Shivanataraja in Thai arts. Another popular form of Lord Shiva is Shivanataraja, the Lord who performs the cosmic dance to rule the universe in order, which represents his almighty power. The most prominent sculptures of Lord Shiva's performance the cosmic dance in Thailand is the ones on the tympanums of Prasat Phnom Rung in Buriram province. Here we have the Shiva dancing, okay, with many hands, and he's surrounded by his devotees, including some southern Indian devotees. It's called Kalamayana. Anyway, this one, and some deities playing drums and harps and the music instruments to entertain him. Next, so we also discover some Indian imitated piece also in southern Thailand. This is the indigenous ways Lord Shiva performing cosmic dance. Which is the imitations of South Indian art that we discovered from Nakhon Si Thammarat province in South Thailand. So if you want to see the original one, you have to go to the bronze gallery in the ground floor of this National Museum. You could see the dancing Shiva in bronze with surround with the nimbus or halo. Okay, so Thailand tried to copy this, even though it in the south, but we can notice some differences also, so we can adjust it. I mean, we can group it into the local made one. Surya images in the Varavati. Surya image, the Varavati culture experienced varieties of coexisting cult of Hinduism during the 6th to 9th century CE, including the cult of sun god Surya. At least 2 human life-size Suryas indicating the popularities of sun god worship has been found. These are 2 of the most important examples. Okay, the common Surya iconographic characters are the halo. Can you see the halo? Around the head, indicating his relation with the sun. The cylindrical crown, indicating his royal status. This is a cylindrical crown, or Kirita Mukuta. The elongated sac, dactyls, and the boots, indicating his Central Asian origins. Both hands has been lost, but they are expected to hold lotuses. So it's the same as in the iconography. These characters correspond to Surya image in Indian snakes. With beard and mustache, can you see here? One of the Suryas is very important. The reins attached to his body is presumably for contouring his chariot with 7 horses. In the legends, Suryas, control the chariot with 7 horses, making the daytime. He orbits around the universe with the chariot. And this is Hindu legends. The normal vehicles of Suryas, as I already mentioned, the front face. The face look fierceful because of the frontal gazing eyes, indicating his fierce powers of the sun. Take this next. Okay, this is the one that I mentioned before. This is Ganesha with huge size. I mean, maybe you have to put 2 or 3 human altogether to be at the size of this image. Ganesha, son of Shiva, as you know, has been worshipped individually. These human figures with the head of elephants is the most common characters derived from yakshas or orchids in the forest. The over life size, most gigantic Ganesha in Southeast Asia, I can claim that is the most gigantic Ganesha in Southeast Asia, has been discovered from Sea Mahosat in Prachinburi, indicating the size as the center of Ganesha cult during the Varavati period. The fragment of Yoni or base cum trout, this is a trout, indicates these sculptures used to be enshrined in the sanctums. Sanctum means the small rooms for the temples called sanctum. Okay, next. And when we study the sculptures, the style, the sculpture is devoid of crown and jewelry, comparable to the early stage of Indianite. This one is a Gupta. Ganesha is also almost the same, without crown and devoid of jewelry. The pre-encoding Khmer art is here. Is also the same. We share the same characters. So the hand limit between 2 to 4 hands. These are the characters of early Ganeshas, while the bowl of the sweet should be placed on the left-hand side of Ganesha. Unfortunately, it has been lost for Thailand Ganesha. Okay, next. Okay, so that's all about Hinduism. Okay, now we move to Buddhism. The difference are Buddhist cult in Thailand territory. Buddhism has been continuously flourished from 5th century CE up to now in Thailand. During this time, together with Hinduism, two cult of Buddhism has been spread. Mahayana Buddhism from North India and Theravada Buddhism from the south. Next. During the 6th to 10th centuries, while the Varavati in central Thailand was formed of Theravada Buddhism, Srivijaya in the south was formed of Mahayana Buddhism affiliated with Indo-Javanese influence. Now for Srivijaya, we have to speak two currents of the influences from India as well as from Indonesia. Okay, we call Indo-Javanese affiliations. Okay, next. By 11th centuries, with the absorption of Thailand into Khmer Empire, Vajrayanas or the esoteric Buddhism was flourished in Thailand. After 13 centuries, Mahayana Buddhism together with Hinduism declined, allowing the new class of Buddhism called Sri Lankan Theravada Buddhism with Pali tradition re-arrived from Sri Lanka. This type of Buddhism still continues today. Due to the Buddhism variations, the Buddhist art from each period was influenced by artistic style from different lands beyond. Next. So this is the, I already mentioned, right? This is the ancient imported objects with the Buddha images. When Indian travel to Thailand, they brought some objects which were easily brought along the voyages, like this Buddha image, possibly for the purpose of private worship, like the small Buddha image made in India. Next. And this is the example. The example includes one from southern Thailand, which was made and transferred from Sarnath in North India during Gupta period by 5th century AD, and the robe is transparent, board shoulder cover robe. It is a favorite style of this period. Okay, next. Another examples. Next. Okay, here's the one discovered from northeastern Thailand. It has been made and transferred from either Amaravati or Nagarjunagonda or Sri Lanka. These places are in South India. Okay, so during Amaravati period that lasts from 1st to 4th century AD, this Buddha image has been casted and transferred to many parts of Thailand and Southeast Asia. The robe is full with one shoulder cover. Can you notice the difference of style of in the night? So you can notice the differences of the origins of these images also. These images, I have already known that it would be small in scale. Like the left one, it's even small like this, very small. So it can be it's portable, very small. Yes. Next. Now we are going to discuss about the iconography of Buddha images that are derived from different Indian artistic school, like the Buddhist shelters by serpenthood, which is the influence from South India. As I already mentioned, Amaravati art existed in South India, the land where Theravada Buddhism was firmly rooted. Is influenced by local snake worship cult among South Indian people. The image of the Buddha sheltered by Nagas or the serpenthood, the serpents. was created in order to integrate both belief. And next, yes, in Thailand, these images become very popular in the world of the art and inherit to Khmer and Ayutthaya. This is the Varavati. This is Sri Vijaya, which is affiliated to Khmer art. So they share the same idea, even though the style are different. You can notice that firstly in the Varavati, the style look the same as South India, and the style become steep and rigid in Khmer and in Sri Vijaya art. Next. Okay. That is South India. Now we move to North India. Buddha delivering his first sermons with the influence from North India. The North India's narrative of the Buddha biographies will appear in the Varavati art, especially the Buddha delivering his first sermons composed of the sitting Buddhas here, and with right hand lifted in teaching gesture. Can you see here? It's called Vittaraka Buddha or teaching gesture. So it means that he's teaching. Teaching to whom? To 5 disciples. These 5 disciples is called in Pali as Panchavakkiya. Panchavakkiya Thai. Okay. Panchavakkiya. Okay. And not only Panchavakkiyas, but there are also divine beings who attend the first sermons of the Buddha. These examples of the Varavati verse from the Common is one of the masterpieces in the Varavati art, and it looks very similar to the mirror painting. I gave you the example of the mirror painting that derived from Ajanta cave. It's almost the same. The Buddha sitting like this, and he's surrounded by 5 monks and divinities. So can you notice the similarities between 2 countries? Between 6th to 9th centuries, they share the same. Okay. Next. Now we are moving from Buddha image to Bodhisattva's images. Okay. Avalokiteshvara that I would like to give you the example. Avalokiteshvara is the Bodhisattva of great compassion. According to Mahayana concept, Avalokiteshvara is the most important Bodhisattva in Mahayana pantheon. He is the Bodhisattva of present era, regarded as one who is with great compassion. The distinctive features of this Buddha to be are the small image of Buddha Amitabha on the top notch. Can you see here? This is Avalokiteshvara in Gupta art that you can experience it in the galleries of National Museum. I try to connect with the one that we discovered in the Varavati art. The style, the mercifulness of the face is just almost the same. And there are some more attributes also, like the chains and waterfall on his hands to identify his hermithood. Next. In Thailand, Avalokiteshvara is the most popular. Discovered both in the Varavati in central Thailand and Sri Vijaya in southern Thailand. Iconography of Avalokiteshvara that we discovered in Thailand remain the same as the Indian Gupta and Pala art. So with this is can you notice some of his upper garment? You can notice the head of the gazette. Can you see that? The deer. And anyway, the photo seems to be very difficult to identify, by the way. But if you go to Thailand, don't forget to see this image in National Museum Bangkok, and you would experience some similarities and the merciness of the image, which is so beautiful. Even though it's made of terracotta, not stone. Okay, this one. Okay, so another image that I'm going to introduce to you is Avalokiteshvara from southern Thailand. Now we move from central Thailand to southern Thailand. the Sri Vijay style Avalokiteshvara sculptures found in southern Thailand, following this style. Earlier, Bodhisattva sculptures were simply days without ornaments as per Gupta style. Can you remember the one of Gupta style that I showed you before? So this, the left hand side one that you saw, that you see here, is Avalokiteshvara with the merciful face, with the hairstyle of the hermithood line style. It's called in Sanskrit as Yata Mukutta. In Thai, Cheda Makut. Cheda Makut. Okay. Yeah. I have to speak, two intonations, Indian intonations and Thai intonations. Can you notice that Thai intonations is softer than Indian intonations? Like Avalokiteshvara in Sanskrit, but if we speak in Thai, we call Avalokiteshvara. Okay. So Thai is normally soft, even their language is also soft. Even though we got some Sanskrit word, we soften it. Okay. They come back to this image. So this image is very smooth, without ornaments as per Gupta style. The sculptors try to emphasize on the purities of line, of contours of the body, instead of focusing the ornaments. Differently, this next, the latter one become more befitting of a king through the decorative jewelry and the body on the body. Can you notice that he is decorated with jewelry? So this is the second phase. Is that the first phase? This is the second phase. Understand? It's because of the interventions of Pala influence from India, or even Javanese art, which I didn't mention here. So this how can we differentiate the difference of the sculptures in India and in Thailand. So now we are going to discuss about the ancient Thai Buddhist pilgrimage to India. Can you imagine that some Thai people in ancient time traveled to India? They came to India for pilgrimage. Even though there is no inscriptional evidences, the documentary evidences, but we can deduce, we can presume from some images that we found also, like not only Indian, they travel to Thailand in ancient time, Thai pilgrims also set out for religious pilgrimage to India. They visited places of worship like Sarnath, the place of the first preaching, as well as Bodhaya, the place of the enlightenment. Sometimes they come here for learning, for study, like Nalanda. Unfortunately, we don't have any documents mentions Thai or the Varavati students, but I believe that there should be, because we found an inscriptions mentioned that the Sumatrians, the Indonesian monks travel to Nalanda for studies. Indonesia is even further than Thailand. How can Thailand could not come to India to study? So I think foreign study has been started, 1,000 years ago, not now. Okay, because they believe, in order to be the master in Mahayana Buddhism, you have to study at Nalanda. Okay. So the first, come back to the point that for the holy places, the first evidence of the word is the votive tablets that they brought back to Thailand as a souvenir when they visited the place. They brought some images made with clay. Clay is not so heavy, right? It's very light. So they brought it back to Thailand. We call it as the votive tablet. In Thai, พระพิมพ์ Okay, yes, votive tablets. Okay, so we found some votive tablets. It derived from Saranath. This is Saranath versions of imprinted votive tablets. We found in Rajpuri in central Thailand. The Buddha sit in preaching gesture, sitting inside the temples of the first preaching. The second votive tablets with the 8 scenes of the Buddha, the 8 episodes of his Buddha's life, actually derived from Pala Kingdom of Eastern India, has been found at Ayutthaya in central Thailand. This is pure Illinois, the important one. The Buddhas are multiple in several scenes, narrating his 8 episodes from his life, enlightenment, the nativity, the birth of the Buddha, Pampasu. Okay, the birth is enlightenment, Tang Sasru. Okay, and the day of the Buddha, Parinippan, something like that. Okay, so there are many episodes has been combined into one sculpture. This is the idea of Pala style of sculpture that we found again and again and again in Eastern India. And we discover one. It's smaller scale, smaller like this, so it's very easy to carry. Okay, next. Interviews of the law in the Varavati art by 7 to 10 centuries. The views of the law or Dhammajagra in Thai, okay, has been popularized in the Varavati of central Thailand. They remind us to the traditions of erecting the wheels on the pillar during the reign of King Ashoka. They remind us. Interestingly, it is unique to the Varavati as there is no Dhammajagra in Cambodia, nor in Vietnam, nor in Myanmar, nor in Indonesia. So this is unique to the Varavati. It's possible that the Varavati people, when travel for pilgrimage in India, especially to Sarnath, you know that Sarnath is the place where the Buddha preached in the first time to his sermons, his disciple Panjavakya. Okay, and King Ashoka set the chakra or the wheel on the pillar at that place. It's called in Sanskrit chakra stambha. Okay, but when the Varavati people travel for the pilgrimage in India at Sarnath, they possibly were impressed by the Ashoka pillar. Then the imitation began in central Thailand. We can say that it is an imitation. Why? Because it's not influence, but it's imitation. You know why? Because Ashoka, this is a photo of Chakra Stampa, the depictions of Chakra Stampa during Ashoka time, but this is belong to Saki Stupa, which is a bit late than Ashoka times, yet it's still 200 or 300 years after Ashoka. Okay, but for the Varavati, it has been made, Dhammajagra Stampas 1,000 years later than Ashoka. So this is a copy, can say. The copy, they impressed, but actually I think that they impressed by not only Ashoka, but also the first preaching of the Buddha. That's why they try to emphasize again and again about the story of the first preaching. Next. Oh, can you come back? This is Dharmachakra in Uthong city. It's similar to Ashoka's one, but how can we know that this is not belong to Ashoka times? The styles of the motifs that decorate the views is later than Ashoka's one. Understand? The styles of the motif is comparable to Ajanta ones. Okay, so that's why we dated 1,000 years later than Ashoka. Okay, next. After examining the sculptures, now we move to architectures. I will give you some short introductions about architecture in Thailand under the influence of India. Pre-12th centuries, Thai architectural styles were highly influenced by both Buddhist and Hindu arts from India, especially from the south and the east. It can be assumed that Thai architects of ancient days expertly understood Indian arts so that the details of the wealthy and Srivijaya architectural features look very similar to the original ones. Next. For example, Khao Khang Nok Stupa. This is the photo of Khao Khang Nok Stupa in sea tape, and with the styles of the stupa is very similar to Indian architecture, with projections, recessions, moldings, niches, pillars, and miniature temples. So you know that if you want to understand Indian architecture, you have to study these elements: projections, recessions, niches, pilasters, okay, and moldings. But I cannot explain you the whole things for today because we have the short time. But if I allow to speak here for the whole day, I may I may speak something more. Anyway, as stupa, now we are going to stupa, the Buddhist architectural art influenced by India. The stupa has its origins in Buddha relics cult, which is considered one of the best way of the merit making. You know, if you construct a stupa, you make the merit. If you pay respect to the stupa, you also gain the merit. That's why we call it's the best ways of merit making. Inspired of having tomb-like shape in early days, the stupa inside the cave was dressed up, multi-tier umbrella or shutter valley, and the Buddha sculptures are added. This is Ajanta style of stupa. In the Varavati art, many stupa resemble the one inside Ajanta. The Varavati stupa is pot-shaped like one with a multi-tier parasols in conical shape. So, why the architects design the stupa that it should be look like a pot? Do you know that? Because they consider that the Buddha relics should place inside the pot. Understand? In Thai, pao. Okay, or the pot. That's why they create the pot-shaped like stupa like this. Next. Okay, now move to another kind of architectures. Prasada or multi-tier temple in Hindu architecture. I try to compare shortly between Indian art. Can you see Indian art? Prasada Indian art on the top. That belong to Chhattisgarh temple in Chhattisgarh. Prasada is a multi-tier structure believed by the Hindu as an imminent building being built to be the abode of God. However, most Hindu temples are built from bricks or stone, so the top of the structures are imitative stories for decorating functions. In northeastern Thailand, with pre-Angkor and Khmer affiliations, prasadas vividly present Indian distinctive features. As I mentioned, not only stupa is normally in the Varavati, but in Khmer periods of Thailand, in northeastern Thailand. We do have some Khmer temple that similar to Indian style. I mean, the earliest Khmer period that we call pre-Angkorian period. Okay, this one, and we found Thailand also in northeastern Thailand, in Surin province. But later Prasada become more complicated. Like this one, this is Prasad Phnom Rung in northeastern Thailand. It has been influenced by Angkorian Khmer art. Angkorian Khmer art started from about 9 to 10 centuries and is continued up to 12th centuries. During the 12th centuries, Khmer Empire becomes very strong with Angkor as the capital. The king, played an important role for expanding his empire. Surya Varaman II and Jayavaraman VII are the most important kings. During that time, a prince called Narendra Ditya constructed this temple, Prasad Phnom Rung, which was constructed in 12th centuries. This belonged to Shaiva temple. The temples comprise Garbhagriha or the sanctum. As I already mentioned, that Hindu temples always comprises the sanctum. Sanctum is the small room meant for containing the image. Okay, Garbhagriha, and the antechamber is called Mandapa. So these are Indian style plan. The multi-tier roof is designed in cone-shaped style, decorated with antefixes. These are the antefixes with the indigenous Cambodian style. So we move from Indian lifestyle to the indigenous Khmer style. Okay, next. Now, later Buddhist architecture. Okay, the transformations of Indian art that we are going to understand. In later days, Thai style stupa are straight up, so it love the elongated structures with pointed spire, with a complex basis. In order to make it higher and higher, how to do? You have to put numerous moldings, moldings. You have to put numerous molding to the base of the stupa in order to make it more complex and complex. Like this. The main concept of to imitate the sacred tombs is however continuous and represents by the bell-shaped element and the multi-tiered umbrella. Stupa is later called Cheda in Thai. Cheda actually derived from Chaitya. We do not call stupa anymore. We love calling it Cheda. But okay. Madam asked me about the word stupa. Stupa actually means tomb or the burial mound, หลุมฝังศพ. Okay, meant for the Buddha. So actually, stupa is actually the real word for Cheda. But later, Chaityas or Chedis become more prominent in Thai language instead of stupas. Stupas become lesser used. After that, when we try to connect with India again, with academic study, we notice that in India we call it stupa. So we start reviving this word again. Okay, please. Prasada, can you remember the Hindu temple? Prasad. Okay, in later architecture is called Prang. Reference the Hindu prasadas, the multi-tiered elements still exist. Can you see the multi-tiered top? The building nevertheless become inaccessible. You cannot enter to the temple anymore. It's closed by foresight. Prasada in later Thai art is converted to be like a Buddhist stupa instead of Hindu temple. From Ayutthaya to Bangkok period, this is the most famous stupa in Bangkok called Wat Arun Temple. It is most not only the landmark of Bangkok, but is one of the most complex in architectural elements in Thai art. Okay, next. Hinduism continued in later day. During Sukhothai and Ayutthaya period from 13th to 17th centuries, although the kings claimed themselves to be Buddhists, each one acted as if he was an avatar of Vishnu. So this is very important, interesting case in Thailand, that both religions side by side coexisted, has been coexisted even nowadays. The Hindu gods were worshipped for the reason of affirming royal divine authority. King ordered to cast Vishnu images like this. This is Sukhothai Vishnu statues is believed to be built by a king, King Lithai. Okay, and he constructed a temple, Buddhist temple, but decorated with a timpanam depicting Vishnu on Garuda. Here, it is quite peculiar. In terms of Indian art, it's quite peculiar, but it's mixed up in Thai art, later Thai art. And the last one that I'm going to speak is the royal barge that related to Vishnu. This is royal Vishnu riding on Garuda as a masthead of royal barge named Narai Somsuban. Narai is the name of Vishnu Narayana. Suban is Suparna in Sanskrit, the Garuda. Okay, Songs means to mount or to ride on. Okay, so Narai Somsuban is Vishnu mount on Garuda. King Rama the IX ordered to reconstruct this part after it was destroyed some time ago. Okay, this representing the idea that the king is an avatar of Lord Vishnu even nowadays. Okay, next. So in conclusions, India and Thailand has a long cultural connections. It's reflected by archaeological finds. Yes, next. These objects testify that both Hinduism and Buddhism were started from the early objects bought by Indian merchants who traveled to Thailand prior to the first centuries. The archaeological evidences include Vishnu images, linga, ritual images, other Hindu gods, Buddha images, Bodhisattva images, the views of the Lord, even and architecture also. Okay, both Hinduism and Buddhism accepted by the locals is the indicative of the influx of Indians, both Brahmins, monks, merchants, fortune seekers, and the lay person to Thailand started from the 5th century AD up to 13th centuries, and even though later after 13th century they still coming, we still have some connections. The connections between India and Thailand has been continued nowadays, and I hope that these presentations is in order to commemorate Thailand and India's 75 anniversaries of diplomatic relations, could be able to educate the audience, and hope that you enjoy my lectures. And so I would like to say thank you very much for your kind attention, and hope that yes, you will go to Thailand for enjoying some artistic objects that we have in Thailand. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
I have a question, sir. My question is, I have a small question.
Oh yes. Yes, yes, sir.
See, we're very sorry, but the audience can have their queries asked in the tea during our tea session. Okay, so. Thank you, sir. Your lecture was indeed insightful that significantly shed light on the traces of Indian heritage in Thai art and culture. You have given us a thorough understanding of cultural linkages between India and Thailand through various cultural aspects. Also, thank you for preparing us for the upcoming exhibition on not only host it but also enjoy it as visitors. As for now, we have come to the closure of the event. On behalf of National Museum, I thank you all for attending this lecture and being a great audience to us. I now request Madam Ambassador and our esteemed guests to please join us for the tea arranged on the first floor. I request Ms. Avira to please lead the way, and our kind audience can interact with our lecturer, speaker for the cup of tea. Thank you.